Aloha, everyone. Welcome to the next session of District 49 Public Relations training. I think this is our sixth session that we are conducting in this series. And if you are joining us for the very first time, or if, let's say, you are a guest, or if you are watching this on YouTube after this has been published and you have no clue what you have clicked on, so let me tell you what you have exactly clicked upon. Welcome to Toastmasters. Toastmasters International is an international non-profit educational organization that promotes public speaking and leadership skills. This is done via a network of roughly 270K members in 14,000 clubs in 140 countries. Here in Hawaii, we have roughly more than 750 members in roughly 50 clubs. And this is the District 49 administration of Toastmasters International. Now, public relations is a very crucial aspect when it comes to running your clubs or just when you are looking at leadership and developing leadership and management skills in general. It is very important in all sorts of things. You might want to consider building your personal brand. You might want to consider running your own business. So, a good skill for everyone, be it a student, a professional, or an entrepreneur. And it's, of course, it's important in Toastmasters as well. Today we have gathered for a very special agenda in this whole series. We have, like I said, this is the six sessions. We have done a lot of them, and today is a special one for our corporate clubs. So, as we were talking to our clubs and members, we realized that a lot of things that we discuss in Toastmasters are mostly centered around community clubs, be it in person or online. And all of these strategies do not really work when it comes to closed corporate clubs. So it was suggested that we should be doing such a session, and we definitely resonate with it. We totally hear you that we need to talk about this, and that is why today we have invited our resident District 49 trainer, Julie. Now let me just pull up her introduction, and then we'll welcome her to the virtual stage and get started. Our trainer, distinguished Toastmaster Julie Murphy, served as the district director in 2022-23 and district public relations manager in 2020-21 for Founders District, which is based in California. As public relations manager, Julie established a consistent, engaging communication rhythm for the district, shining a spotlight on members and clubs. She is also seasoned VP of Public Relations, having served in that role multiple times. She has been part of corporate clubs herself and has helped numerous corporate clubs grow throughout her leadership journey in Toastmasters. Julie is passionate about all things communication and brings her professional PR expertise to help clubs boost their visibility. By day, she is part of the marketing communications team at one of Orange County's largest automakers, using her skills to drive organizational success. So, fellow Toastmasters and guests, please join me in welcoming Julie for her session Building Bridges, Boosting Membership in Corporate Clubs. Please welcome her with a huge round of applause.
Thank you, and aloha. I'm excited today to be talking about corporate clubs. I know we spend a lot of time talking about how to get more people, our Facebook, our Instagram, but today we're going to talk about those internal tools that we can use at companies. I'm going to talk about it from a general level, but as I'm going through the different scenarios, I want you to really think about what do I have in my company and what tools do I have specifically? Because something that I know about may be different because every company is so different in structure and the tools that you have. I've only worked for a few companies, I've only met a few clubs. So I really encourage you to think about how can Toastmasters work even stronger in my company, or if we are supporting our corporate clubs, here's some of the items that we can discuss with them and we can work with them individually to say, hey, here's some of the tools that maybe you could use based off how your company is structured. So we're not going to be talking about Facebook and our social media. We're really going to talk about those internal tools that we can use and who to work with. I think that's one of our keys to success as well. Okay. Who to work with. I find that the most successful corporate clubs are those that have partnered internally with key stakeholders. Now, a lot of times it's the learning and development, it's the culture team. This can sit within HR or it could also sit within another department. So, whoever is doing that corporate training for you, when you get those emails inviting you to all the various training sessions, think about those are some of the people that we need to make close friends with to advance our Toastmasters within the company because we want to advance that visibility. Another great resource, human resources. Now, of course, we want our learning and development team, but human resources can be a very large department. And there may be a completely different team that's working on corporate recognition programs, also the corporate merit, everything that has to do with a performance review may be a completely different part of the HR team. So while we've made friends with learning and development, let's go make some more friends in HR and really partner with those that are doing the performance reviews, managing it. Because obviously your boss gives you the performance review, but there's a team behind the scenes making sure that the platform is working. Executive sponsorship. People want promotions and raises, right? Best way is, of course, executive time. Now, I always like to say, okay, that's great. Executives are busy, but those that really have a dedication to communication and leadership, you're going to get a little bit of time with them. And if you can get an executive sponsor, they can be the champions to also work with HR, to work with learning and development. Because I don't know about you, but where I work, we love executives. And we're a lot more likely to listen to that executive voice than Julie. Therefore, we get some executives involved with our Toastmasters, and they don't necessarily have to be a member, but they can be our champions. Similar to employee resource groups, I know a lot of times they have a champion that works to help plan, help organize, and help advocate. Similar to Toastmasters, we need to be able to advocate for ourselves, and the best way is to get a seat at that C-suite table through our executive sponsor. Align with the learning and development goals to show how Toastmasters can complement the internal training that you already have. Why? Because nobody wants to do more work. But if we can show people that Toastmasters isn't work, Toastmasters is that opportunity to continue learning, to continue growing, then we can unlock some resources from our HR, from our learning and development, from our executives, and then maybe they have to develop less programs that teach us how to do presentations, how to do communications. Why? Because we have Toastmasters and they can send everybody to Toastmasters. So it's really important, similar to our community clubs, we say make relationships with those around you. Go knock on businesses. Well, we're going to knock on our neighbor's door internally and find out who do we know, who can help us in this journey to make our club even more visible within the company. That's really the key. Getting that additional visibility is so important to not only getting new members, but also retaining members. Why? Because if Toastmasters is seen to be the place to be, that people are getting promotions, people are getting raises, then of course everybody's going to want to be a part of Toastmasters. That's one thing to keep in mind as we're going through this. Now that we know who we need to make friends with, it's time to take an audit because, as I said, every company is structured different. So I'm going to ask you, What tools are used to communicate your company-wide events? And don't worry, you don't have to share, with me today, but I want you to think to yourself, when I receive a communication to a company-wide training, a company-wide volunteer event, to other corporate initiatives, town halls, how am I receiving those communications? And not just one way. A lot of times HR will have multiple ways to communicate. For example, you might get an email, you might get a calendar invite, you might get a Microsoft Teams message or a Slack, whatever your company uses for those mass social communications within the company, as I like to call them. What are those tools? Who's the keeper of those tools? Because not everybody can send company-wide communications, because otherwise, oh my goodness, when people hit the reply all, you might get just thousands of messages because people are going to just reply. So it's really important that we make sure that we make friends with those corporate stakeholders that can send those communications. Not only so perhaps they can send them on our behalf, but we as a Toastmasters organization might also be able to send them. What employee communications are sent on a regular cadence? For example, is there an internal newsletter? A lot of times there's internal newsletters, I find. I bet you can contribute some items to that. It's internal. There's unlimited amounts of space in it. Granted, nobody's going to read a 20-page document. Or there are executive communications that are sent to employees. Are there executive reports? I bet there's executive reports. Can Toastmasters be included in those executive reports? One thing I ask you to look at is your employee resource groups. Now, Toastmasters isn't necessarily an employee resource group because I find employee resource groups to be advocacy and social versus Toastmasters is there to help us grow our skills. So I do find them to have different needs within the company. But if you look at how the employee resource groups, what tools they're using to communicate, who their sponsors are, how they're being included in communications, I think Toastmasters can use a lot of that same model for your communications. What professional development assistance does the company offer? I know a lot of companies offer tuition assistance. They offer assistance for training. Guess what? Toastmasters is a training opportunity. It's a very inexpensive opportunity when we think about how much our companies can spend on external training. We send people to conferences. We send people to all sorts of professional associations. Well, that is great. And they all have their place. But Toastmasters is a professional association. Perhaps we could ask to have our dues offset if we deliver a certain number of speeches, if we take on a certain number of roles, if we attend a certain amount of times, can we get that reimbursement as well? Your company may go for it. And then you're going to be able to attract even more people because they're going to say, you know what, my company is investing in me. I'm going to invest my time in this as well. And I think that's one of the keys is members need to feel that the company cares. Because if they feel that the company doesn't care, they're going to say, well, I don't want to develop all these skills just for my company. Not everybody sees it as an opportunity to grow professionally. It was really important to think about how can we partner with our company to show we care about your professional development. We care about your Toastmasters experience, and then you're going to be able to recruit and retain more members. What employee recognition tools are available? I would imagine that in the newsletter, there's announcements for promotions during town hall meetings. There's recognition for employees that have been there for a certain amount of time. Are there other opportunities? Can you earn opportunities and be recognized and redeem those for some sort of gift card or merch from the company. Perhaps Toastmasters can be incorporated in those tools as well. It's a very affordable option for the company. They already have the platform. For example, if you attend a Toastmasters meeting, can you receive some points? If you give a speech, can you receive extra points? You take on a role based off whatever the role is. Can you get points for that? These are all ways that we can incentivize people to participate in Toastmasters. Because I don't know about you, but people love free stuff. I caution against free food, though. Because sometimes if we get our dues paid 100% without having to do anything and some free food, people are going to probably show up for the free food. Maybe just do table topics. We don't want Toastmasters to be seen as just a social item. We really want it to be seen as a professional development experience. So I highly encourage that if your company is helping subsidize the Toastmasters dues, that it is tied back to participation as well as advancing through the Pathways program. Toastmasters is not just a social experience. Yes, there is a lot of networking involved within Toastmasters, but if we're just looking for social experiences, there's many other groups within our company, and that is not Toastmasters. So I highly encourage you, everything you're doing to position Toastmasters is that opportunity to grow your skills professionally and, of course, personally, because what we learn personally helps us professionally and vice versa. What collaboration tools are available? For example, does your company use Microsoft Teams? Does it use Slack? There's a variety of items out there that your company might use. So I encourage you, as you're completing this audit, to really analyze, okay, you know what, today I received 5 different messages. How did I receive those? Of course, there's a regular standard email, but dig beyond that and really analyze within my own team even, what tools do I use to communicate? Where do I store my documents? How am I sharing information with my colleagues? And those are all great tools to add to our corporate toolbox. Okay, now it's time to start tailoring our communications to our audience. One thing I do want to remind everybody is, when we're talking to executives, when we're talking to HR, we're not going to tell them, hey, it's a great opportunity for people to practice interview skills. HR is not interested in you learning how to be a great interviewer. They want to keep you. They want to retain you. So it's really important that we tailor our communications to how it's going to help the company. Now, of course, there's all sorts of ways that Toastmasters can boost your career, but we really want to keep in mind when we are communicating, how is it going to benefit our company? That is our overall arching, and then we can start identifying who some of our target members are. New employees. New employees don't know anybody at the company. They are eager to learn. They want to prove themselves. I know my company, we just got a whole new batch of interns, and my intern is so excited to start. Today was her first day. And she said, during orientation, she's like, I was a little nervous. I came in today nervous. And that's the same thing. Those new employees have those jitters. They're looking to meet people. They're looking to make alliances with people within the company that can help them because they don't know anybody. It's scary when people start new. And they're like, people say, go talk to finance. And you're looking around and you're saying, I don't know who to go talk to in finance. It's a lot of people. Should I just walk down there and start saying, hi? Can somebody help me? That's not something that most people feel comfortable with. So new employees are looking to grow and learn. And one of the great things about Toastmasters is you can start learning about different people and their roles. And you could say, well, you know what? This person is in finance, so I can ping them and I can say, hey, I know this may not be what you do, but can you point me to the right person on your team? Then all of a sudden, people have built alliances. And that's one of the things that you can emphasize for new employees, that networking, as along with that professional development. Team leaders and managers are great to identifying people that maybe need a little bit of additional support. Maybe it's presentations, maybe it's leadership, and maybe somebody's taking on being a manager for the first time. Club officer roles, running a meeting are all great ways to help them. If your company has a leadership track, if they run leadership training, what better way than to have flyers about Toastmasters incorporated in that, as well as during our new employee orientation, right? Because they're excited. They haven't been beat down by, oh my gosh, there's so many things going on. They're jazzed, they're excited, they want to grow. Same with our new managers. They want to grow, they want to prove themselves. They want to keep that new paycheck that they just earned. They want to learn, they want to grow. So if we can help them grow, if we can show them, Toastmasters will help you with those skills. Running a meeting. I know I run my team meetings, even though I'm not the manager. It's because, you know what, Julie knows how to run a meeting. Keep it effective, keep it moving, because otherwise people can just go off on a tangent and nothing's really going to be accomplished. But I've run a lot of Toastmasters meetings. I know how to keep it moving. I know how to keep us focused, keep the meeting back on track, because there will be moments that maybe it gets off track, but recircling back. Those are all great skills that new managers can use. Presentations. A lot of times, you might be new to presenting to executive management. How do I pace my presentation? How do I present with confidence? Now that some companies are back to hybrid, how do I stand in front of an audience? I still struggle with that. I've spent so much time talking to people on Teams that every time I have to stand in front of someone, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really hard. My legs have to do some work today. I don't just get to sit. I purposely joined a club that I have that opportunity to stand in front of people. But I think that's one of the things that Toastmasters can help people with is those presentation skills. So it's all about understanding what our audience needs and working with individuals and saying, hey, what are you learning from Toastmasters? And how can we help you further? And those are one of the great ways that can help you craft your message on why it is that people are coming. Recognize that what motivates them to join or refer guests. Guest referrals are just as important in our corporate workplace as they are in our community clubs, if not even more important. We have to get somebody to take time out of their busy day. It might be lunchtime, but I know some people say, my lunchtime is my vacation in the middle of the day. I just want to go somewhere, eat my food, and watch a movie during lunch. I'm not looking to grow my skills. But if we can position Toastmasters as the happening place to be, that you're going to get those skills that you need to be able to advance, to be able to motivate your employees for retention, all that will help motivate them to come to meetings, refer their team members, and to refer their fellow colleagues. Because once again, you're not posting this and running a Facebook ad. You have a limited number of people that you can target. And yes, there's always a new group of people because your company is always hiring new people, ideally. So you always have that group of people that you can target. but it might only be once a month, because I know some companies only onboard people once a month. So it's really important to understand what motivates people and what tools you can use, and to be timely with them. Promoting internally. I think a lot of times we struggle with, well, what should we promote? Of course, our meeting day, our meeting time. But I think it's boring after a while. What can we promote that's additional? Member education achievements. What a great way to send an email to their manager. Now, of course, I know with the advanced levels and pathways that it can send an email, but their manager may not be paying attention to that email because it's an unknown. It might get stuck in spam. They're like, I don't really know what this is. It looks like a scam. I'm not going to open it. But if that email comes internally from someone, the club president, the vice president of education, or a member that you designate as your recognition achievements person, then it's internal. And you can send that to their manager. You can also, when somebody completes a path, when they get their DTM, you can also include that in your corporate newsletter or whatever other opportunities that you have. If your employee resource groups are doing regular reporting to executive management, find out, what are they reporting? How can you also report that similar data to executive management? Group size, number of paths completed, number of speeches given, various items. You can really look at the statistics that matter to your company and that also are successful, because you might have members that are struggling a little bit to give speeches and complete those levels. So maybe it's group size and number of active members. You can really shape the data based off what you have to highlight your success. But I would take a look at, what are other groups reporting to executive management, and try to model your data as close as you can. Of course, understanding that each group has their own unique purpose within the company. Club officers. I know I always love when I see club officer announcements, because that really shows that people are taking the time to step outside their comfort zone and step up into leadership. And I think, especially in the corporate world, if we can highlight those people that are doing great, it's going to give them that added recognition internally. So next time that they're thinking, I really want to apply for this position in another department, well, of course, their manager is going to be bummed. The company is going to be happy that they can retain them internally, but that other manager is going to say, I want that successful person on my team. They're a go-getter, and I know that they have some high-quality leadership skills because they have been trained by Toastmasters. Now, of course, your manager doesn't want to lose you, but perhaps you also could get a promotion even within your own department, because you're showing, I can manage a team of people. I can work well with others, because not everybody's going to be a club officer. And you're taking on that advanced opportunities. It's not just a check the box exercise. You really are invested, and it shows that you're invested in your own personal growth. Success stories. Now we have to get those people that say, my lunch is my vacation. I don't want to come to Toastmasters. I'm just going to go eat my lunch, watch a movie, and I don't want to talk to anybody for an hour. We got to get those introverts that are just like, I can't sit in a room of 20 people and have a conversation, because I've been talking to people all day long. I just need a break from people. But we're all motivated by money, or a lot of us are motivated by money. So if we can highlight somebody that has received a promotion or a raise that they feel was in a direct benefit of their Toastmaster skills, I want to say those people that are just, my lunch is my vacation. They might still think lunch is my vacation, but they might think, you know what, I'm missing out. We're going to create that FOMO. They're going to say, I need to come to Toastmasters too. I'm going to check it out. And then guess what? You're going to grow your club, and they're going to perhaps get some of those big raises and promotions as well. And of course, Toastmasters does not guarantee that you're going to receive that raise or promotion. But I really have seen those that invest in themselves are more likely to receive those raises and promotions, and their managers are going to take notice of what they're doing to invest in the company as well, because it goes both ways. The company is going to invest in people that are investing in them. Corporate open houses, similar to community club having an open house, we want to have some open houses internally. I always find when I'm doing an open house, I'm actually going to invite people to my meeting. I get busy. I'm like, oh, I need to invite people. Oh, I should invite my colleague. But there's just something about that open house. Everybody's working together. Everybody's focused. And I'm going to invite people because I don't want to be that slacker that didn't invite anybody. Because we're going to ask during the meeting, oh, how did you find Toastmasters? And when everybody else has a colleague that's come and I'm sitting in the back of the room and none of my colleagues have come, I'm going to feel, oh, I'm letting people down. Also, how can we incentivize people to bring guests, to bring their colleagues, to invite someone that they met in the lunchroom to come to Toastmasters? One of the things that we can do is those themed open houses. Have a fun theme. Lunch and learn, conquer your fears of public speaking, advance your presentations, advance your leadership. All things that you have to really think about. What is it that your members feel that they have gained the most? Because that is going to be what most of your new guests are going to latch on to, probably. Guest speakers. We talked a little bit about executives at the beginning of this and how they can help advocate. But I know a lot of us like to be seen in the presence of executives. We want to show, hey, we're doing good. And this is an opportunity that we don't have to present to them. We're not having to make a pitch to them to our idea or to go in the direction that we're pitching. This is simply an opportunity to be in their presence, to have a conversation with them, and perhaps an opportunity to have a conversation with an executive that you normally would not have access to. You're not necessarily going to walk into the CEO's office and be like, hey, how are you doing? How's it going? But if the CEO is a guest speaker at the event, guess what? You have access to them. Hey, how are you doing? How are things going? They're going to ask, what are you working on? They're going to get to know you. So I think that's one of the things is how can you invite senior leaders? Because we all want to be in the presence of senior leaders. And it also will show to senior leadership, I'm investing in myself. And I think you should invest in me as well. Because I'm a high value for this company. Interactive demos. So, what better way to showcase what Toastmasters is, and of course, to run a regular club meeting. Now, of course, we can invite our executives, but another opportunity is that it's just a very normal club meeting. Perhaps this one we get some food catered because we want to invite people that say their lunch is their vacation. They can get some free food. Might be worth their time to come check it out. And they will feel inspired by all the speeches, by all the table topics. One thing I do recommend is that if you are running it as a regular meeting, that you don't try to bring in your most seasoned speaker. Bring in a good speaker, somebody that's going to give a great presentation on how Toastmasters has helped them, but it doesn't have to be your most senior speaker. In fact, it probably works better if it's a person that's good, but they haven't been your most seasoned member. That in between, give many opportunities to take on roles, ensure that everybody's prepared for the role, because this is our time to shine. This is our stage. We want to make sure that if somebody's doing the table topics, that person's going to be there, that we also work with them on their questions. Because keep in mind, we have people that have never been to a Toastmasters meeting. We really need to explain our roles, and we need to make our table topics questions not something incredibly terrifying, and perhaps not something too personal, because they're just getting to know us and they don't maybe want to share their most inner, deepest, darkest secrets with us on day one. We're going to let them share that on day 2 when they come back. But make it something lighthearted, or perhaps something about their life at your company, so then we also get to know them. I always love, what attracted you to the company, or what attracts you to stay with the company, because what attracted us to join the company might be a lot different than why we stay with the company. What's the favorite thing about your job? What is a project that you're able to share that's not top secret that you're working on? What are your passions? All great opportunities for table topics without somebody having to share their inner, deepest, darkest secrets with you. Q&A and networking. Lots and lots of time for them to ask questions and to network with your current members, who are going to tell them how amazing Toastmasters is and what an amazing experience that they have had in Toastmasters. Because, of course, they're not going to show up to the meeting if they absolutely hate their experience. They're not going to keep renewing their membership if they're like, this is the lamest thing ever. Of course, your members are going to talk about how amazing of an experience Toastmasters is and how it's transformed their lives. So I really encourage you to have time for Q&A, because as much as we can explain the rules, of course, people are still going to have questions because they perhaps have never been to a Toastmasters meeting, and then that time for networking. Make sure that all your members know their elevator pitch about Toastmasters and how it's helped them. One of the things, I always love a challenge. Bring a colleague. What better way than to motivate people? Because I don't want to be that person in the back of the room that only brought one person in the last year. I want to be that person that's leading the way. As it is, I'm a communications professional. If I can't communicate, we got something wrong. If I can't persuade people, we have something definitely wrong. So bring a colleague challenge. Keep track of how often each person has brought someone. And a lot of times people say, well, how many times have they brought in a new member? But we can't control if that person joins. We would love for them to join. And of course, we can't control if they come to a meeting. But, if we can't get a person in the door, we can't get them as a member. So I always like to reward for did they come to a meeting? So how many times were they able to bring a colleague? And take a look, is there merch that you can give out for your company? Shirts, mugs, whatever it may be. You would be surprised, but people cannot get enough merch. And people love free stuff. So what better way than, something that's been sitting around in a closet that needs to find a new home because it was left over from an event. We can use those as giveaways and keep track of once a quarter, every 6 months, every Toastmasters year, whatever it may be. Empower your members to ensure that they're knowledgeable about the benefits of Toastmasters. We want them to talk about Toastmasters and how it's helped them professionally, how it's helped them grow with the company. And make sure your members are confident in their elevator pitch. I think it's difficult, especially when they're new. Empower them with, yes, that is a great way. That is a great opportunity to talk about how we've helped you. And encourage them to continue practicing their elevator pitch, whether it's through table topics or we do pop shares, during the meeting. However you can incorporate it, really ensure that we're shining the best opportunity to showcase what Toastmasters is. Our long-term success. So here's a few of the tools that I always use when I am making sure that I'm keeping people organized. So, for example, Microsoft Teams, you can create not only a team, but you can create a group chat. In Microsoft Office, you can create groups that are specifically for Toastmasters. A great way to be able to send those calendar invites super quick if you have a group, because you just click that distribution and it goes to everybody. But one of the things I really recommend is sending those calendar invites in advance. I struggle with this sometimes because I get super busy. I have a repeating invite on my calendar. I forget that I haven't sent it to other people. I block extra time on my calendar to make sure that I can go to Toastmasters. I block 30 minutes before. I block 30 minutes after. When I send the invite to my members, I just block their time for during the Toastmasters meeting. I allow everybody to manage their own calendar and what they feel that, they need to block, but I don't like when my meetings run late. So I just block that extra time on Toastmasters days. And I also make sure that we have a meeting room. Super important to make sure, because there have been times I'm like, oh shoot, I thought I booked that meeting room, but I didn't really book it. Alrighty, let me scramble and find what space we have available today. So the further in advance that you can send those meeting invites, as well as book those meeting rooms, if you can have a consistent room, that is always great. Space can be hard to find, I know, and sometimes if you have a great room, it's a very popular room and others want to use it, so you do have to share. But be sure to analyze, if you're on Microsoft, can you use a chat to keep everybody informed? Because chat is great. I love chat. I don't know about anybody else, but it's my little internal social media, I call it. When I get those little notifications, that little red dot that shows up, I'm always checking what it is. And a lot of times it pings me on my desktop and then pings me on my phone. I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I getting pinged twice? But I'm going to read the notification because I probably heard my notifications go off twice. And then you track where guests heard about you. It's so important to know, what tools do we really need to focus on? There are a lot of opportunities to communicate, but where are they finding us? Did you put posters around the building? Were you incorporated into the corporate newsletter? I know I get a lot of people from the corporate newsletter. When I first put the posters up, I got a decent amount of people too. Maybe I need to change the posters now that they've been up for a while and have a different color, put them in a new location. Can you get a giant poster board that says Toastmasters meets here? Can you put some of the Toastmasters meet here signage around the building with some arrows? People are like, oh, what is this Toastmasters? I want to go check that out. They have arrows. Of course, that must be the happening place. Moments of truth. I know we talk about this in our community clubs, but it applies to our corporate clubs. How well are we serving our members? How are people finding us? What do guests think when they come? Do we think, oh, this is just an insular group and they're not really inviting to external people? Or are they a super inviting group and this is a happening place that I want to be? These are all things that we have to think about, because it can get very easy to just be our little group and be like, okay, we're happy, we're content. But we always need to be promoting and we always need to be welcoming to guests. And we can ask our members, how did you find us? What did you think? What were those first impressions? Because if you're not warm and welcoming, people are not going to stay. And those guests that you bring, they're not actually going to join, and they're going to go tell other people, oh yeah, I tried that Toastmasters thing. It's not for me. We really want people to say, oh yeah, I tried that Toastmasters thing. It's really awesome. I'm thinking about joining. Do you want to come with me next time as well? because there's power in numbers. I find, especially in the corporate workplace, hey, yeah, I tried it, but I'm a little nervous. So if you invite somebody else to come with you, it doesn't seem as bad. And you're like, we walk, we chat, we catch up, all those opportunities are the opportunities to gain members. So I really encourage you to look at what tools you have, get organized, and really understand your members. And every company is going to be different. So I talked a lot about different tools and different opportunities, but you have to analyze for you what are those opportunities that you have within your workplace. Here's a couple examples of what I have done for Kia. An opportunity to elevate your potential with Toastmasters, and then how it's going to help you. I really took at it the lens from how is it going to help my company, with also incorporating the key Toastmasters language into it. So I took a look at the corporate tools from Toastmasters International, and I personalized it to the Kia brand. And just as a quick look at some of the additional resources that you can use, I highly recommend Pat Johnson's A Handbook for Building and Sustaining Vibrant Toastmasters Programs and Corporations. If you have not read it, it is a must read. So many opportunities. She talks about not only how to promote, but what, for our area directors, what makes a good corporate club, and also how to integrate it into the learning and development at your company, getting that buy-in from managers, also keeping your members accountable, because especially if your company is paying for your dues, it's not just a free ride. So many times we see companies say, oh, we're not really looking for this structured program anymore. We just want, opportunities for people to hang out. Well, that's not Toastmasters. There's many programs that companies can run, but if companies are looking for professional development, then Toastmasters is the place to be. If they're looking for corporate training, Toastmasters is that place to be. Yes, it is a self-paced program, but we learn from each other, and it works perfectly in a corporate world if we are leveraging all the resources, all the pathways that Toastmasters International has set up, and then also working with our management team to really integrate Toastmasters into the culture. It's not just this something extra that we do to make it successful. It needs to be integrated into. It needs to be seen as whatever the company is licensing externally. Are they licensing LinkedIn Learning or one of the various other learning items? That's great. But where are those items being promoted? How are those items being promoted? And Toastmasters should be on that list as well. And we should be sending our members, our new hires, to Toastmasters to learn, to grow. So all the things that I talked about today, I really encourage you to analyze for your company. What is it that you can do? Because you're not going to necessarily be able to work with your learning team because maybe they are HR. Maybe you have a very small company and it's one and the same. So a lot of things that I talked about, I hope you will consider how you can do. And if you're not on a Microsoft platform, of course, adapt it to whatever platform that you have, and then you can go from there. But I highly encourage you, the more it can be integrated into the culture of your workplace, the more successful that you will be. Okay, any questions?
Awesome. Before we move into the questions, let's give Julie a huge round of applause for that amazing and insightful presentation. I would like to welcome all of our friends who joined in late and we couldn't greet earlier. And before we move on to questions, I just wanted to first of all acknowledge the presence of Fran. She's one of our area directors, Area 6, I guess. She has a lot of corporate clubs in her area, and thanks to her for suggesting us to do this session. So, thank you, Fran. And I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Jan Cherizo. She is our current club group director and our incoming program quality director. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Kevin Doyle. He's our past international director and also our incoming club group director and also Area 9 director, if I'm not wrong. And um, lastly, I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Lynn, our current PQD and incoming district director. So thank you so much. And again, I would like to welcome you all once again. And thank you so much for joining and thank you so much for suggesting this idea to do this. Also, a huge shout out to Trainers Hub. If you want to be as good as Julie and learn from her when it comes to giving presentations, please check out her club. She's currently presiding Trainers Hub in District 49. They are an amazing club and they focus on helping people become better trainers. So, now that all the announcements and acknowledgements are over, let's get to our Q&A segment. If you're joining us for the very first time, thing about our Q&A segments is they are not going to be recorded because we want people to candidly discuss the challenges that they are facing. So whatever you discuss in Q&A is not going to go up on YouTube. It's going to stay private, so you can comfortably brainstorm and discuss whatever challenges your club are facing. So let me just stop the recording before we move on to our Q&A.